Hello you guys, and welcome back to Books by Brit TV. I'm your host Brit, and today we are finally going to be talking about Butterfly 3 by Ashley Antoinette. Yay! So listen, I'm like mad late with this review, y'all, and it's the reason why. But I actually recorded the review the same day as I recorded my last review, God Help the Child. But when I went back and watched the playback, I realized like the glare was overwhelming, right? And I know some people don't really look at the video, they listen to it, but I just didn't want, you know, for it to be bothering people who do look at the video more so than listen to it. Whatever. So I said, let me try to record it again, right? Alrighty. Y'all, let's get started. The hardest thing Morgan Atkins has ever done is let go of love. After losing Messiah, she never thought she'd find someone who understood her again, until she reunited with Amik Harris, and their friendship quickly transformed into something deeper. But there was one problem. She was engaged to a man she didn't love, and he's holding a deadly secret over her head. If that wasn't enough, her long-lost love, Messiah, returned to claim her as his own. 3 men plus 1 woman equals inevitable heartbreak. Actually, you tried it, girl, but that was good. Inevitable. Inevitable heartbreak. Morgan wants to follow her heart and take the risk of a lifetime, but she risks destroying her family in the process. Will Morgan enter a loveless marriage, or will Messiah and Amik fix their brotherhood and work together to save the woman they both love? So, right, tell y'all something. Much like I said about Butterfly 2, the synopsis to Butterfly 1 was what we received in Butterfly 2. And I feel like the synopsis to Butterfly 2 is really what we received in Butterfly 3, right? So I read the book. I bought it the Saturday before it came out, but I didn't read it until January 1st, right? And I'm gonna be honest with y'all, upon initially reading the book, I was disappointed. I mean, and we're going to get to that later on in this video. But yeah, I was disappointed. Then I read it a second time, and I said, I see what she did there, or whatever. But, yeah, let's get into it. So the book starts off with Issa shooting up the whole neighborhood of his enemies because he feel like they done took his bitch Aria, right? And the dude says that Issa accuses of snatching her, says, nah, man, it wasn't us. It wasn't us. It was some cats with some DC plays. They was out of town. They was out of town. So Issa automatically say, oh, that's her brother. Her brother's from DC. Excuse me, y'all. Allergies acting up. That's her brother. You know, her brother's from DC, so it got to be him. That's the only person that's bold enough to try him. Which I felt like we knew it was Issa. It's a couple of things I kind of felt like was obvious reading this book, right? But we knew it was Naveed, excuse me, who snatched her because nobody else in the hood, aside from that cat Beans, seemed to like blatantly disrespect the crew like that, right? And I'm gonna tell y'all something, I don't really like the nickname the crew. But anyway, let me get to it. So yeah, Carter found out he snatched Ari up. So he, you know, Issa takes off to go find his little lady friend or whatever. It cuts to Morgan is getting ready for graduation. What's her goddamn name? Alani is hemming up her cap and gown at her. I couldn't tell if that was at Morgan's house or Ethan's house because Messiah shows up and Morgan makes a mention that he was messing up her flower bed. So I couldn't tell right then and there. But she decides to leave once Messiah shows up. But before she could leave, you know, Messiah has an interaction with her son Masari, and Masari, he asked Masari his name because apparently, you know, Morgan never posted her children's name online in the 2.5 years that they've been born. And Masari says, oh, mommy, his name is like mine. Or he says to Messiah his name is just like his. So Messiah says, yo, shorty, what type of goofy shit you want right now, this and that and the third. So she snatches up Masari, go outside and get Yara, and runs to her car. And Messiah says, okay, so we're gonna have to talk about this later. Bam. Cut to Amik is at the morgue to identify the shooters who killed not killed, but the shooters who shot up the studio at the end of Butterfly 2. And he recognizes that those dudes works for Beans. So he goes to pay Beans a little visit. Beans lets it be known that Messiah sent him after Morgan. And he was like, how she sent you after Morgan? He says, well, he told us to hit you know, whoever close to you, and we know you care about Morgan the most. Not his mama, but Morgan. So apparently everybody in town knows that he and Morgan would been all out in the open. Morgan, girl, you best be careful. Fooling around like a meat was supposed to be something low on the side, right? Like down low until you got your stuff together. Anywho, y'all. So, you know, Meek, because Meek, that dude, he tells Beans to kill himself, and he goes outside and let Beans' son know, you know, things gonna be tough for a little while, but he will always be there with him. And as he's leaving, Meek, he meets up, well, he rides past Ethics, and they nod at each other, so Ethic knows that the situation has been taken care of. A little more respect for Meek day by day, because Meek is steadily proving himself not only to Morgan but to Ethic, right? Which is awesome. Then yeah, we find out that, like I said, that Arya's brother Naveed took her. He tells her that you know, she doesn't need to be with Issa. Issa has like, she'll be inheriting beef and all that type of stuff with Issa and all of this and that and third, but she begs him to let her go back to him. And she goes back to him, and then she leaves him, but then she has to go back and be with him because, you know, that's her man and everything like that. So that happens. Then Morgan finally graduates, y'all. Yay! But this was a part that I was confused about. I couldn't tell if Morgan looked every bit the valedictorian of 2020, or was she actually the valedictorian of Michigan State University, which was kind of I don't know. I didn't know if that was a wordplay or if that was actually in the story, y'all. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, she runs out of graduation and she goes to Messiah. And her and Messiah has sex, but then, you know, those butterflies get to her and she leaves and goes back to the restaurant to meet up with Bash and her family for her graduation dinner, right? But let me back up. She and Messiah does meet up like soon after she storms out of the house with her kids, and Messiah asks her, he's beating around the bush trying to ask her, are those his kids? But she's not really saying anything. And he says to her, damn, I wish I knew you had so much hoe in you, he would have treated you differently, right? But she never comes right out right then and there to tell him if those are his kids or not. And he wasn't deserving at that moment to know, after he being all disrespectful. But anyway, y'all, back to the graduation dinner. She gets to the graduation dinner, and Bash is wondering where she was and how could she run out, and you know how foolish that made he and his family look and everything like that. And she tells him that she's sick. So then Meek walks into the graduation dinner, and he gives Ethic a gift for her. Bash gets upset because he feels like Morgan invited him. So his little bitch ass decided to make an announcement that he and Morgan is going to have a baby after graduation. So she's going to be putting off going to medical school or pursuing her dreams, right, to have a baby for Bash. Bomb. After the dinner is over, she goes outside of her car and finds all these bouquets. That was so cute. Surrounded by her car, and the notes inside of her car or on the windshield lets her know that the flowers came from Messiah, right? And Bash is upset at her, tells her his parents is going to drive her car, get in the car with him, and he takes off recklessly, all ignorant like, to drive her home. To drive her home or whatever. And you know, she and Bash have a moment where she asks him about going to medical school or trying out for a couple of dance auditions. Bash lets her know that he thinks the whole deaf dancer thing is just gimmicky. He doesn't think that she's that much of a dancer anyway, so there's no point in her doing it, and that, you know, that she needs to be preparing for a wedding and get prepared for a child. And she's like, are you serious? I'm only 21. I already have 2 kids. And he's like, yeah, because I love your kids, but, you know, they not mine. I need a child to establish my bloodline. So, child, she gets her kids and storms out. She goes to the cemetery where her sister Raven is buried, right? And she's talking to her sister about this pickle she finds herself in, but doesn't know how to get herself out of it. Then Alani shows up, and Alani tells her that, you know, she knows that Morgan is holding secrets, but they, you know, can't help her if she doesn't let her know. That was Morgan's time to come clean about Bash, you know, trying to blackmail her, right? So she's like, you know, just let me know what it is, because I'm about 2 seconds off Christiana's ass already. Just telling y'all, Alani remind me so much of me when it comes down to my little sisters and my little cousins, like especially the girls, like my little girl cousins, my sisters. That's me all day, every day, right? But Morgan, you know, doesn't say anything, so they go back to Ethics and Alani's house, and Bash calls her as they are about to watch a movie and tells her that she's not but, you know, a certain amount of minutes from where he is. It won't take her but a certain amount of minutes to get to where he is now. And she's like holding her hair like, oh my God, how do you know where I'm at? And she's looking around thinking that somebody has followed her or whatever. And he just, I think he says, get home, and hang up the phone. I don't know why, but that scene reminded me so much of In a Moth to a Flame when Raven called herself leaving and taking Morgan to go stay at Nikki and Aunt Gina's house, and Myzanne called her and said, bitch, get home, and hung up. It was so funny, y'all. Anywho, so as she's outside, after Bash hangs up, that's when Messiah pulls up with Issa, and she and him go on a date, and it's a very emotional date. They go to this place that she hasn't been to since she was a child, that her father used to take her to. And after the date, Messiah is telling Morgan how he felt like he was dying and all this type of stuff. He's not revealing that he has cancer, but he's telling her all the things that he's been going through since they have been apart, right? So Morgan is feeling what he's feeling, right? Because you remember in Ethic 4, Morgan committed suicide, and then all through the rest of the Ethic series and Crystal with the Aquaphors, Morgan was a little depressed child, right? Or depressed young, she was a depressed child. And so listening to him say that, you know, she feels like it's best for her to go and tell this man about these kids, because she feels like she's only half living, like her children are only half living because they don't even know who their real daddy is, right? Whatever. So she lets him know that the twins are his, and that she tried to call him so many times and that he blocked her out. And he goes off, y'all, like shows his natural bone. How many minutes I've been on him? Okay. He shows his natural black ass, y'all, and tells Morgan, bring my son. This between me and you is a route. Bring my son. And Morgan goes in the house to try to get Ethic and Alani to calm him down. And Ethic's lets Messiah goes off with the kids, and Morgan is upset. He said, oh, he needs to have this time with his kids, and Morgan's like, not without her. And Messiah takes the kids and run off, right? That made me so mad. He put the kids in the back seat, no car seat, no diaper, no bag, no nothing. He just take this girl kids and run off. And as she's talking to Ethic about what happened, you know, Ethic's telling her that she was wrong for keeping her kids from him, child, which she was, but we'll get into that in a little bit. And then Morgan is telling Ethic all that she was feeling, and Ethic is surprised that Morgan still doesn't know that this guy has cancer. She tells Ethic, this guy never puts me first. He never ever chooses me, or whatever. And that's when Ethic's like, oh my God, this girl still don't even know the half of what this guy has been through, right? And that he wasn't Myzanne's brother and stuff like that. And it was just a whole crazy situation. Hold on, y'all. So she finds out about, she looks at a gift that Meek gave her, and she drives to the location, come to find out he bought her a whole dance studio or whatever, right? And then Meek shows up because Arya has called him, because after the confrontation with Messiah, you know, she called her homegirl Arya, telling Arya that Messiah knows about the kids, and then Meek bought her the gym, the dance studio. So he shows up, and they have this this whole emotional confrontation, right? No, don't worry about it, y'all. I was looking for something that just crossed my mind. Sorry about that. So, you know, they part ways or whatever, and she meaning Morgan, she goes home to her house, and she sees that Bash car is there. And at first she's afraid, and she's like, you know, I don't want to go in this house. But then she's like, this is my house. I don't have to be afraid of this man. But, you know, she's a little afraid because the twins aren't there. She knows that Bath has been holding back on her because of the kids are there. So she goes upstairs, right? And Bash has this whole romantic little setup for her, you know, candles and flowers all through the house, and he's sitting on the sofa just with angst and anguish and all types of turmoil in his face, and he's like, you're never gonna love me, are you? And she says, Bash, if you're real with yourself, you knew I didn't go to London looking for another love, that I had unfinished things to deal with, and that you and I were never supposed to be like that. So Bash calls her out on her bluff. Oh, I ain't gonna tell y'all that part. I ain't gonna tell y'all. Y'all gotta read that. So Bash calls her out, and he puts in a call to the police commissioner and have Ethic and Messiah arrested. Now, before Messiah is arrested, you know, he has the twins with him. He goes to his apartment, and guess who he calls? Ding, ding, dings, bloom. Blue comes over and help him with the kids, and Blue got so much to say about, oh, I thought Morgan was a lovely girl. How could she keep his man kids for him and all this and that and third? You know, these are her thoughts. But still, like, girl, be quiet, because you weren't going to tell him about your dead baby either if he hadn't found out. So, bye. Miss with all that. And when that girl came to you and said that she had, it's been 26 weeks, which all women know that's code for pregnancy, you didn't say nothing or try to find that man for her either. Well, you knew what he was. I ain't gonna say you try to find a man, but you didn't really like try to figure out what 26 weeks wasn't even nothing for you, because you was more loyal to him. So don't give me no crap about Morgan was dead wrong. But anyway, y'all, Amik comes over after he leaves the studio with Morgan. He comes over and helps Messiah to calm the kids down and tell Messiah, I didn't know that the kids wasn't yours either. She made it seem like that was that dude Bash or whatever. After he helps Messiah get the kids calm, he leaves, and that's when, you know, Messiah and Ethic is picked up because of the call that Bash placed, right? So Morgan calls Amik, and Amik doesn't answer, right? And next thing you know, there's a knock at his door, and Amik thinking it's Morgan calling. Hey y'all, so I wanted to come on here. I recorded the entire video last night, but I don't really like the way I ended it, so I came back on here to re-record that, right? So my overall thoughts on the book was, it was a dope book, but I felt like there was a lot of things that we were promised that wasn't delivered, and mostly it was regarding Bash, right? Because I'm a part of the Facebook club. I said face group. I'm a part of the Facebook group club on Facebook. Damn it, y'all, I cannot talk today. I'm a part of the Ashley Antoinette reading group on Facebook, and she did a live, the author, and she stated that we wasn't asking the right questions. And the question that I asked was, what does established and royal Bash wants with worthless Morgan? Because that's what he looks at hers, right? Like, what does he want with his girl? She got 2 kids and a drug dealer for a father and an adoptive father, right? And she said that's what the question that was the right question that we should be asking. So I thought that we was going to find out exactly who Bash was in this installment, right? We all knew he had connections, obviously, right? He's royalty or whatever. And even in not Butterfly, but Ethic 2, Arya, I believe, or maybe it was Ethic 3, Arya confirmed to Morgan basically that Bash come from old money, and we all know where old money can take you. So I thought we was going to learn more about Bash, like why is he at Michigan State for doing his graduate work instead of at Cornell University or Columbia, right? Because most people with a little bit of money, not just in Michigan State, of course, but from what the people that I met and the people that I read online, they went to, you know, Cornell, Harvard, Columbia, Brown University. So what is Bash doing over here, you know, out in the Midwest versus the East Coast or the West Coast where most people send their children, right? So I thought we was going to find that out, or at least find out the connection that who Christiana's family was over in Michigan, right? And we did, and so she really gooped us with that. And another thing was, you know, the way Messiah reacted to learning that those kids was his. Like, I mean, I guess we all knew he was going to show his behind, but it just, like, when he did it, it was just like, boy, are you going to tell her your dirt? You know, like, are you going to tell her your dirt? Are you going to tell her that you have cancer, the real reason why you want to wait? Are you going to tell her that Mazan isn't her brother? Are you going to tell her that you and Blue had an affair? Let's be real. We can say that, oh, it wasn't no affair, but they have an affair going on. And y'all had a child, unfortunately it died. And he didn't come clean at that. And that was my gripe with Ethic. It was like, you know, Ethic, he said that this girl doesn't know nothing about this boy that she's so in love with. And yet, you know, he lets the kids go off. It doesn't give him pause to say, let me go find these kids so they can have a conversation before he even take these kids off alone, right? And the whole Messiah and Blue little relationship, you know, like I just said, they have a whole affair going on. We can argue that to the day we die, but, you know, I wouldn't have stayed in town if my baby father asks me to move out west. I wouldn't have stayed in town because my best friend asked me, like, this is my family. I wouldn't have stayed in town. So let's not pretend like they just friends and she doesn't want him. And I mean, he all right, but I don't know, y'all. Amik is alright. I ain't even finna give Amik too much. Arya and Issa is annoying to me. But, you know, reading the reviews for the Ethics series online, Morgan and Messiah was annoying to a lot of people in the Ethics series. And now I feel like Issa and Arya has taken their place. I don't really like Issa or Arya too much because I'm not with those friends who... It's a difference between keeping real with your friends, but all that throwing, you know, slick shots and making shady comments, I don't do that. Man, Arya, we wouldn't have fought, but I would have distanced myself from her a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? And from Issa, all that, you know, even though they didn't know at the time, Issa didn't know that Bash was them kids' daddy, all that talking smack about them kids' daddy, about Bash to him. Boy, you don't even know that man like that to be talking smack at the man like that, about the man, or whatever. And obviously, he's not that much of a punk. He hasn't backed down from none of y'all in the crew yet. So he ain't that much of a punk. 1 second. But, yeah, I would recommend people read the book, but I would, for me, and for others, I would say wait until the entire series come out. That way you're not left on the cliffhanger at the end of each book. I would just say wait until the entire series come out. And I don't really mind a cliffhanger, but it's like every single story, you know, every single book is left on a cliffhanger, and it feels like the story is incomplete, right? Like take for instance Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. That was left on a cliffhanger, but like we felt like the story in that book was finished, right? It felt like we didn't get the entire Butterfly 3, right? Because it was left on the cliffhanger with Livy at the door. I felt like he was supposed to be taken into jail, and as well, after Livy knocked on the door, that he was supposed to have been taken into jail. And that would have been really good for me to read. Or he just could have, I don't know, he just could have got a call from Morgan and he pressed ignore. That would have been perfect for me, right? Instead of knowing that Livy was at the door. But, yeah, overall, that's what I would say. You know, those are my thoughts. I would say read it, but I would say wait a while because, I don't know, the cliffhanger's starting to work on my nerves. They really are starting to work on my nerves because I just feel like the books aren't that long as it is. And now we got another cliffhanger, right? But I will say Ashley is doing some amazing things. And she's, I'm going to say she's trying to create her own Flintmore or Flintverse, like, you know, Harry Potter world or the Twilight fans. Whereas, you know, she's selling merchandise to go along with the books that she put out, which is really dope. She recently had the Books Lover box, and I thought that was real cool, right? I didn't buy it, and I may buy the second one, but I don't know, because I'm saying now, when Harry Potter was out, all I could afford was to buy the books. And, you know, it took 15 years before I could afford to buy them Harry Potter merchandise. So Ashley might have to wait another 5 years before I be able to buy a book box, a book lover's box. But yeah, if y'all get a chance, definitely check it out. I did watch a couple of the people's videos who bought the box, and she had some really nice merchandise inside of those boxes. Like, she wasn't playing any games with that. But anyway, y'all, that's all I got. I feel like, you know, Butterfly 1 gave us a little yang. Butterfly 2 gave us a little yang, yang, yang. Butterfly 3 gave us a little yin, yang, because I just felt like we were promised a lot more than we received. Nevertheless, there was a lot of stuff in the book that, you know, a lot of questions were answered in the book. But that's all I got. Y'all drop down and let me know your thoughts on the book. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.